President Biden prepares to unveil his $2 trillion infrastructure package, where there's a lot of things in there that you would not consider infrastructure.
This is a climate change plan masquerading as an infrastructure plan.
Jen Psaki is saying that a portion that hasn't been announced yet of this infrastructure plan is something, quote, what is sometimes called social infrastructure.
They are intent on doing one thing: forcing socialism down the throat of the American people.
They want to design American culture, American society, according to their blueprint. It brings back to mind, the words of Ronald Reagan, who said the scariest words in the English language are, "I'm from the government and I'm here to help."
The federal government only owns 5% of our nation's infrastructure. Private people own 65%, and states and local governments own 30%. So what you've got here is this massive, oversized government. It's like a transformational event. Going back to the New Deal or earlier, it's going to completely change the American economy for the worse. Central planners are going to run our lives, and I don't think that can be a good thing.
Instead of states figuring this out, instead of private people who own 65% of it, this is more of a push to control more of our life. Central planners.
The ideology of the Soviet Union was economic central planning. That's what it was. It was an economic theory and an economic-based idea based on Marxian principles of central planning. So what we've got here is we have a veneer of capitalism that we try to sell to the American people, but it's really authoritarian capitalism is what it is.
That has become, Jordan, the defining difference between the two main political parties in America. One believes that big government is absolutely the answer, and we should genuflect to that and say, yes, sir, 3 bags full. And the other one believes more in private enterprise and individual rights and states' rights.
Many of the members of Congress, too, on the left are saying this is not going to be $2 trillion. This is going to be $3 or $4 trillion. Well, how are they going to pay for it? Tax hikes.
When you tax a corporation, moving it from 21% to 28% on the corporate tax, who do you think you affect but the worker and the ultimate consumer? Because who's going to pay for those tax increases that these corporations are going to have to ultimately absorb? It's going to be you and me. It's going to be people at the gas pump. It's going to be people who have jobs.
The Biden plan is aimed at shrinking the labor force in the United States and increasing the labor force, for instance, in China. In addition, the Biden plan will encourage American corporations to move overseas. For multinational corporations, intra-corporate accounting measures will also move money overseas.
Remember that when corporate tax rates go up, things get more expensive. Jobs move to different parts of the world. They move out of the United States. So even if you're not in that earning category where the tax is going to hit you, ultimately, things get more expensive. It gets more expensive to buy goods and purchase. And, of course, to actually create jobs is more expensive. To raise wages gets more expensive. You work for a small business, that small business owner who likely does make more than the $400,000 plus a year, or $200,000 if he's an individual unmarried, he's going to either have to cut wages or hire less people.
Mitch McConnell said, we're hearing the next few months might bring a so-called infrastructure proposal that may actually be a Trojan horse for tax hikes. Well, it is. It's not a Trojan horse. It's not disguised. Tax increases are going to come. Biden said that during his campaign. If you vote for me, you're going to vote for tax increases. Well, they voted for him, and they're going to get the tax increases and other job-killing left-wing policies.
A lot of this is wasteful spending and making more people, as Harry said, reliant, dependent on the federal government. And then this social infrastructure they talk about, this idea with social infrastructure that, again, central planning comes right out of like the Communist Manifesto and the writings of Karl Marx, and it's exactly what China does. And these things plan from the center for everybody. Instead of taking away your ability, at the local level, state level, to do what's best regionally, locally, for you and what's best for your economy in your state or where you are, It's to do it all from the federal government.